Hey guys.
Hey, we're live. Just FYI, you know,
Now I
I
can
gotta
hear
see
you.
his face. Okay, but I mean, we're live to anyone that joins at this point, just so you guys know. Gabby, do me a favor. I know we're live, but would you make sure you're logged in somewhere else too to see the audience view?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome to those of you who've joined us so far. Welcome to those of you who've joined us so far. My name is David Jost. I am Chief Marketing Officer for Ariba and Meistersoft, and I just wanted to welcome you. If you can hear me, if you'd be so kind as to participate in our pre-show warm-up here and just let me know if you can hear and see what we're displaying in the chat box. Awesome. Very good. Brandon, I'm glad you could join us, by the way. I sent you a message last night. We got your link. Okay, we'll be starting in just a moment. If you're here for the How to Raise Big Money with Your Golf fundraiser, you are in the right place. If that's not what you intended to come, I suggest you stay. There's some really great things ahead here, and we'll be starting in just about 7 or 8 minutes here. So don't be alarmed if you don't hear much. We're going to go silent here shortly. Can you hear me now, Jay? Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is David Jost. I'm Chief Marketing Officer for Microsoft here at Ariba, and I am pleased to join you. I know many of you have joined early. You're very excited for today, as are we. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a heads up here. We'll be starting in about 5 minutes. This is how to raise big money with your golf fundraiser. It's going to be a great interactive session. Encourage you to let us know if you're here and you can hear us okay, if you can see us okay. And that would be terrific. Let us know where you're from. How's the weather? When's your next golf excursion? What do you have going on today? Just give us a hello and get your participation muscles flexed. We'll be starting in just a short while here. The entire session today will be recorded. It'll be available to you and all registrants on demand afterwards. I will say that a bunch of times just so that everyone can relax, enjoy, and really engage here. So again, we'll be starting shortly, but let us know how you're doing and say hello if you wish. Okay, Jay, if you could go camera live, I'm going to give everyone here the 2-minute warning, even though this is golf. Okay, Jay, if you could go live with the camera, thanks. And you can hear me fine? Quick test. Jay?
I hear you just fine.
All right, great. Folks, you'll be introduced to everyone here in just a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the 2-minute warning, even though this is a golf webinar, and let you know we're going to be starting shortly. We have a lot of people joining us today, a lot of great interest in putting on the best possible golf fundraiser to raise big money. So that is what you're here for today. If you would like to just familiarize yourself with the questions box, the comments box, this is very interactive, so drop a note to say hello or participate throughout. I will be serving as the moderator as well as participating in today's workshop and webinar. And again, we'll be starting shortly. The whole webinar today will be available to you afterwards as an on-demand webinar, so you can feel free to just sit back and participate or take notes, whatever is your preference. And again, we'll be starting in just about 1 minute now at this point. Thank you. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started here. We have people coming in, but don't be alarmed if you're coming in midstream. The entire session today will be recorded. So I'm going to go ahead with that and just welcome everyone officially. So welcome to an exclusive interactive workshop featuring Jay Fiske, golf fundraising expert. This is entitled How to Raise Big Money with Your Golf Fundraiser, brought to you by Arriva and Meistersoft and Arriva Company. We're going to go ahead and get started today. And we are going to begin with just a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about. And I'm going to actually just let you know that first off, we have our welcome and introductions here. So I'm going to introduce you to Jay Fiske to say hello. Jay is co-president and chief auctioneer of Meistersoft and Arriva Company, and he is going to be our featured host. My name is David Jost. I'm the chief marketing officer, as well as, more important to you today, I am the moderator for today's session. So Jay, if you could say hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome, and thank you for joining us. By way of very quick background, I have been involved in golf tournaments for 32 years as a benefit auctioneer and consultant, and I've pretty much worked on the gamut of golf tournaments, from local events benefiting small schools and Rotary clubs to major celebrity tournaments like Frank Sinatra's Celebrity Invitational, the Hilton Head Celebrity Invitational, the ESPN ESPY Awards, and that sort of thing. So I pretty much have seen almost everything you can see at a golf tournament. And I've been doing this for a lot of years. I've been doing 10, 15, 20 golf tournaments a year over that time. So what you're going to hear today, and what I'm going to discuss with you today, will be the good, the bad, and the ugly of golf tournaments, and hopefully you'll get some good information out of it. And so we certainly welcome your questions as well.
That's terrific. I'm going to move ahead, and I'm going to tell you, I really love to do tasks lists, and I love to be already partway through them. So we've already done welcome and introductions. We're going to be hearing from you. This is interactive. You'll hear more on that. We're going to share with you some very important words to thrive by and keep in mind throughout today's session, and relate to how to putt for dough, revenue boosters, and as well as essential software and services to help you really achieve that raising of big money that you came here for today. And then again, you've met the expert. You're going to hear from him and have a chance to pose your questions. But I'm going to remind you, as we kind of move ahead here to the Let's Hear From You section, to let you know that you should be sharing your questions, your comments, your tips as well, because you all have lots of great ideas we'd love to hear about in the questions or the chat box in your Zoom control panel. And then we're going to begin here with a couple of polls. So I'm going to be teeing these up, Jay. If you want to just kind of introduce the first one here. This is on what % of your fundraiser's gross revenue should be spent to host that event. So you should be seeing that.
This basically relates to what we would consider consider industry best practices. Many of you work for large organizations, some work for small organizations, but you all have an idea of about how much of your gross revenue at your event should be dedicated towards the cost of putting on that event, whatever kind of event it is. So we're just asking to get a sense from you, what percent, is it 16 to 20%, 20 to 30, 30 to 40? Or maybe, some other number. And that's what we're looking for there. Your concept of how much should be dedicated as a budget to put on your fundraiser as a percent of what you bring in.
And that's terrific. I'm going to count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to give you a chance to respond. And then I'm going to show you the results. We also offered an option here that was, I have no idea, which is fair enough to answer, right? So here we go.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. So 30% to 20, up to 30%, we're looking at about 2/3. 2/3 think that it's okay to spend up to about 30%. I've heard other industry experts indicate that it's in the 17 to 23, 17 to 25%. But if you're south of 30, you're probably doing okay.
Great. So I mean that varies, right? But it's kind of a range, and I think the important part here is that there are some benchmarks, some best practices in terms of how much you should be spending in order to raise the money, right? There's a cost to that. I'm going to actually move to poll number 2 here, which we also wanted to just sort of, because this is obviously there are slides, right? And we're going to share some preset information with you, but this is going to really be a responsive session. And so we want to kind of hear a little bit about the folks who've joined us today. So this was a question that you posed, Jay, if you want to run through this with the folks.
Yeah, we're looking to, and by the way, multiple choice is okay. You can check more than one box. We're trying to figure out what elements are you currently including in your own golf tournament, assuming you're already doing a golf tournament. Do you include an auction? Do you have celebrities there? Do you do a pre-event pairings party? Is it a multi-day or multi-course kind of an event? Or if this is your first time, let us know that as well.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good mix of each. We don't have a lot of people we don't have anyone that's responded on a pre-event pairings party. So that'll be an interesting part of today's session. And then just one multi-day or multi-course. But if you want to, again, I'm going to count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then close this.
Yeah, and David, Bob asked, what is a pre-event pairings party? So let me just quickly explain that. Some golf tournaments will have a party the night before or the weekend before their golf tournament. They'll do a Saturday night pairings party and a Monday golf tournament, or they'll do a Sunday night and Monday golf tournament, something like that. And the reason for that is to bring everybody together, golfers and non-golfers, into sort of a gala format, and at that gala format, announce who's playing with whom and talk about the course, and maybe there's a guest speaker, that sort of thing. So again, not a real common thing, but something that many people do is they'll try and gather everybody in a party atmosphere even before they go out and tee off.
That's great. So you see the results here, Jay. I don't know if you have any comments on that before I close it off.
Okay. Look, close to half, or 46%, have not held a golf tournament before. So this is really, you came to the right place. You're going to get a lot of great tips out of this webinar today, because we're going to throw a lot at you. The good news is that it's being recorded. You'll be able to go back and review it. And we'll certainly, we're more than happy to do one-on-one consulting for anybody that is having their first ever golf tournament, would like to get some of that assistance. We can certainly do that for them.
So words to thrive by. Yeah.
So, if you're a golfer, or if you've been around golfers at all, the term drive for show, putt for dough is a very, very common term. And basically what it means is a lot of golfers will spend a tremendous amount of time at their driving range, and they call it a driving range, trying to see how far they can hit the doggone golf ball. They'll go through an entire bucket, just seeing how far can I hit it, how far can I hit it, how far can I hit it. And that's the drive for show. But they spend very little time on the putting green practicing their putts. And yet we know from experience and from watching the pros tend to spend a lot of time on the putting, because they realize that 2-foot putt is worth the same number of strokes as that 300-yard drive. And if they can improve their putting, they can make they can win more money on the tour because they can lower their tournament score. So in golf tournaments that we put on in the fundraising golf tournaments, it's a very similar philosophy. You can have a very flashy tournament and put a lot of elements into it to make it with a lot of glitz and glamour and that sort of thing. But the money's in the details. The money's in the little things that you bring in. So today we're going to talk about the details. We're going to talk about how to improve your putting today. There'll be an element of driving for show, but primarily today's webinar is about putting for dough.
That's great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move ahead. So we're going to begin with some essentials.
All right. So what are some of the essentials? Well, let's talk about how a golf tournament works. Like, you're going to bring these people together. They're going to be there for 5 or 6 hours. The round of golf, if you're lucky, is 4 to 4.5 hours. More typically, it's 5 to 5.5 hours. There's going to be an hour before where the golfers are going to be checking in, and they're going to be doing some of their skill competitions, putting competitions, things like that. And then you can have the awards banquet afterwards. So you really have them for a good solid 6 to 7 hours, perhaps. And every minute should be a revenue minute. In other words, every minute that they're on that course or at that club, you want to be selling your mission. You want them to know, why am I here? And also, it's important to note that many of the golfers, we'll get into this in a couple of slides from now, but many of your golfers may know nothing at all about why you're hosting the golf tournament because they were invited by somebody else. I mean, they're not necessarily your close supporters. They may be somebody who is a friend of a close supporter, and that friend said, let's go play golf in this tournament. Or perhaps it's an employee or a customer of a company, and the company has become a sponsor, and as being a sponsor, they were entitled to a foursome. And the 4 players that are in that foursome may know absolutely nothing about your mission. Why are you even, they may not even know that it's a fundraiser. So you want to be selling your mission all day with signage and with reminders as to why you're doing it. And you want to get non-golfers involved. If you strictly limit the money that you're going to make to the people that play golf, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And so you want to invite the non-golfers to your awards banquet or pairings party. I mentioned the pairings party comes usually a day or two before your event. You want to make sure those non-golfers show up as well, because they also can spend money on your behalf. And absolutely invite spouses or significant others to the banquet, the awards banquet. The main reason this is important is you want your golfers that have been there for 5, 6, 7 hours to stay for the banquet. You're going to make money at the banquet. You can't make money from people that are driving home. So if you don't invite spouses or significant others to the banquet, the golfer is being pulled 2 different directions. They've just been spent 6, 7 hours on the golf course. They put their clubs in their trunk, and they have to make a decision. Do they walk inside and eat the meal, and they didn't win anything, but should they go in and have the free meal, or should they just get in the car and drive home and have a happy spouse because they got home early? You don't want to put your golfers in that kind of a position where they're being pulled different directions. So what you want to do is invite the spouses to the banquet. And at the end of the day, they play golf all day. They walk inside, their spouse is there having a cocktail, and they join them, and you now have 2 people there in your audience rather than 1 person in your audience, or maybe 1 person that maybe isn't there at all because they're driving home. And invite non-golfers and supporters to the banquet as well. There's no reason why if someone doesn't play golf, they can't still come to the banquet and buy a banquet-only ticket. Banquet-only tickets, of course, would not include the round of golf, so it'd be a lot cheaper, but you want to fill the room with supporters. And then you should do an auction. We'll explain why you should do an auction later. But if you're going to give out awards for your golf tournament, first, second, third place, long drive, close to the pin, those sorts of things, present the awards after the auction, not before the auction, because once the awards are presented, the golfers will leave, and you want them to stay until the end of the auction.
That's great. Someone just commented that it's been worth the price of admission just to see this first slide. So I guess some good stuff.
Well, it's interesting. We got just looking at the chat here, and we've got someone that is looking at doing their first ever fundraiser. Somehow they got selected to do that, so they're taking on the challenge. So this is for you, James. So watch closely. We'll give you a lot. And then if you want afterwards, we're more than happy to do a follow-up with you with some specific questions
Right.
that you might have and answers. So you want to give the golfers, what they want. I mean, I've been a golfer for my entire life. And when I go out to play golf, I don't want any hassles. I don't want to be bummed out because the day starts out bad. And the very first thing that the golfers encounter when they show up is when they drive in is where do they get their clubs out of their car? And you don't want them to, if possible, drive to a parking lot and carry their clubs to the clubhouse. If possible, you want those golfers to stop at a bag drop where they're greeted by volunteers who thank them for coming, have a label or a tag or something they put on the golf clubs. They welcome them and say, please go over here to the check-in table and don't worry about the clubs. We'll get them onto your cart for you. That's the very first thing they're going to be greeted by is how do I get rid of my golf clubs? Then let the clubs disappear. They'll end up on the appropriate cart and have that golfer walk to a check-in table. And here's the second place where you can fail. They go to a check-in table and there's already 30 or 40 golfers ahead of them. Why are there 30 or 40 golfers ahead of them? Well, because you don't have enough volunteers to greet them. If you think you need 10 volunteers, have 15. If you think you need 6, have 12. It's much better to have volunteers with nothing to do than have golfers standing around with no one to help them. So set up multiple check-in stations. One of the mistakes I see often is where they'll have 1 or 2 people to handle one activity, and then everyone behind them, all the golfers behind them are waiting for the person in front of them to clear, and then they take their place in the queue and take care of that 1 or 2 activities. Instead, have 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever number of stations you can set up, and let a golfer go to any one of those stations to take care of any one of their activities, such as checking in, such as finding out what hole they're starting on, getting their tee price, all those sorts of things. And this is nothing more than using what the banks have figured out, where you go in one line, but then you go to the first available teller. This is similar. Have 4, 5, 6, 7 check-in stations where a golfer can go to any one of those check-in stations. You want to eliminate that initial line if at all possible. You also want to swipe their credit card. This is very important. Golfers will, knowing they're going to a golf tournament, will carry a pocket full of cash because they expect that they're going to have some games and they're going to have to peel a $20 bill off here and a $10 bill off there. You want to eliminate that. You don't want golfers to have to bring any cash with them. So have a system set up so that when they check in and get their and find out what hole they're charging, playing on, we swipe a credit card. They're going to say, why do you need my credit card? We say, well, because during the round today, you're going to have a chance to buy mulligans and to buy super ticket and get involved in contests. And, we have a little auction. We got a lot of things we're going to help us support our mission with today. And we don't want you to have to spend any cash today. We're going to try and go cashless. So just let us take a swipe of your card. If you don't spend any money today, your card won't get charged. But if you do spend some money, your card's already on file. And by the way, that's no different than just checking into a hotel. It's exactly the same as checking into a hotel. You may not use a spa, you may not order room service, but they still want a credit card on file. Do it exactly the same way.
Perfect analogy.
What's that?
I said that's a perfect analogy.
And golfers want a speedy round. If you're a real golfer, you don't want a 6-hour round. And so you want to eliminate artificially created delays. And we'll talk about some of those later, some of those artificially created delays and how to eliminate them. Plenty of food and drink. This is also something that golfers will absolutely love you for or hate you for. If they play 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 holes and they have not had a chance to get a drink. And when I by drink, I mean a soda, I mean a beer, I mean a bottle of water, something like that. You want to make sure that you overdo that. Put coolers out every 3 holes or every 4 holes and fill the coolers with, if nothing else, with just bottled water from Costco. But at least let them know you're thinking about them. It's hot. You want them to know that you want to keep them hydrated. So put the water out there at the very least. If you want to intersperse in some of those water coolers, some sodas or some beer, that's entirely up to you. But plenty of that. At some point during the round, let them have something to eat. That'll keep them happy. It could just be some energy bars. It could be potato chips. It could be setting up a taco, a soft taco station. We've seen some pretty elaborate, it could be a hot dog stand. But if the golfers feel that you're looking after their needs with plenty of food and drink, they're going to really love you for that tournament. They want a chance to play real golf. And you know what I mean by real golf is there's some gimmicky tournaments that I've seen over the years where, you know, if you're within a certain length of string of the hole, we consider that a good putt. You know, you cut off the length of string with a scissor, or strange scoring systems, you know, all that kind of stuff. Let the golfers play golf. When they get done playing that during the day, they wanted to feel like they played real golf, not miniature golf. You know, try and avoid the miniature golf as much as you possibly can. Get them some nice tee prizes. And here's a tip. I'm going to give you a great big tip right now. You want to write this one down. Don't hand out the tee prizes when they check in, because if you hand out the tee prizes when they check in, they're going to take that tee prize bag and they're going to stick it in the trunk of their car. And you're going to get very little value out of that tee prize. What you want to do instead, if at all possible, is give them an empty bag, a really nice canvas or some other really nice bag that they're going to want to keep. And it's going to be empty. And they're going to look at that and say, why am I getting an empty bag? And you're going to tell them they're going to get some really nice prizes on the course. And so now they put the bag in their golf cart and then spread out around the course, either from the sponsors or volunteers. They're handed things. Now they start anticipating what the next prizes they're going to get. So at one of the holes, they might get a sleeve of golf balls. 3 or 4 holes later, maybe they get a shirt. 3 or 4 holes later, you know, maybe they get a really nice water bottle or something like that. But the point is that if you get them anticipating the tee prizes, I wonder what we get next time around, it becomes a really kind of a fun game for them. You want to give them a photo of their team. And this is a great sponsor opportunity. You can get a sponsor's logo superimposed on a photo so that when that photo goes into a frame and they put that in their office, they're not only looking at a reminder of that round of golf from your tournament, they're also looking at the sponsor's logo. And that's a pretty easy sponsorship to sell to a sponsor. If you tell that sponsor you're going to put the logo on a frame, they know that frame is going to get thrown away and they're going to put the golfer's going to put it in their own custom frame. But if you superimpose the logo within the picture, they can't really get rid of that logo, and that's longevity for that sponsor. So give them a nice photo, and give them a fun, tasty banquet. You know, at the end of the day, they've been out there for 5-6 hours. You know, this is not a hot dog and hamburger kind of thing. You know, let them go through a nice buffet, or preferably a served dinner. Served dinner always is a little nicer way to go, but you can get by with a buffet. But reward them for their generosity, reward them for supporting you by letting them look forward to a nice meal. And that, by the way, is the last thing they'll remember. The first thing was the check-in and the drop the clubs. The last thing they'll remember is how you fed them. So take good care of them. That's what they'll carry with them to when you invite them again the next year. And you don't need to overdo it on prizes. You know, these can be good prizes, but these don't have to be giant trophies. In fact, the best prizes are the ones that are not necessarily trophies, because they don't have any place to necessarily display them, but are certificates for to spend in the pro shop, or certificates to spend in nice stores around town, something like that. But give them a chance to win something, and win something special. These are your hole-in-one prizes. Most courses have 4 par 3s. Those are 4 opportunities for people to get a hole-in-one. Each of those par 3s ought to have a nice prize on it. Those are easily sponsorable. All you need is someone willing to pay for the insurance. If someone gets a hole-in-one, they win a car, the person that's sponsoring that doesn't have to buy the car. They only have to buy the insurance. And typically it's in the $500 to $1,000 range to sponsor a car, or it can be a ski boat, or it can be a jet ski. It can be a golf cart, if appropriate. It can be a motorcycle, but some nice prize to win is always a great touch. So basically the bottom line is you want to give them at the end of the day a feeling they got value for their money. And more importantly, they want to attend again next time because you took really good care. Long slide, I know, but there are a lot to cover there.
Well, and Jay, this is a good point, just to remind everyone, keep asking your questions throughout. And I'm also going to just give you all an opportunity. I had some folks say, it'd be great if you were right here with us. We've got so much to do. We're here to help. So I'm just going to let you know that you're seeing a poll right now that you can answer. We're going to talk more about that, but we're really with our clients and the nonprofit community for good. So we're here to help you. If you tell us what you're doing, what kinds of things you've thought of, we're bound to give you some great ideas. We have an opportunity to meet with Jay and our team, and no obligation, just to be able to let you know how we can help and some suggestions. So feel free to answer that. And if you miss the poll, once I close it, feel free to drop a note in the chat box or question box throughout. I'll be raising the poll again. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead, Jay.
I want to cover two things in the chat box, so they're both very important. James says, so an ATM reader is paramount on site. Actually, not an ATM. We can talk to you about that, James. What you want to do is a card swipe. It's just a store and forward of their credit card. They don't get any money. They just have a card on file, but there's a software system that'll do that. We can share that. We have that software system where we take a swipe of the credit card. When the card is swiped, it's encrypted immediately. And then if they buy anything, the credit card processor that we use will decrypt the credit card and charge them appropriately. If they don't buy anything, then the credit card that was swiped just goes away. So not necessary to have any money on site at all, but you do want to set up a system that allow pre-swiping of a credit card, again, like the hotels do, and the card is just kept on file. We can help you with that software to do that. Another question that came from Tony was, is there a device that takes pictures that superimposes a logo? There are many photography companies that will go on site. I can certainly, if you want to email me, I can send you a couple that'll do it. They'll go on site. They'll be your photographer on site. They'll print out the souvenir photos literally during the round. So at the banquet, when people walk in from the banquet, their photos will all be on display with the logo superimposed. There are many, many services that'll do that. That's typically one of the sponsors will cover the cost of doing that.
Perfect. So nice segue. This next short putt tip is brought to you by sponsorships.
Yeah, your money is in your sponsorships. Those of you that have maybe run galas before, but have not this is your first time for a golf tournament, but you've done galas, you understand how important sponsors are, and you typically sell tables at the gala, right? You'll sell 20, 30, 40 tables at your gala, depending on 200, 300, 400 people. And each of those tables gets sponsored, and then those sponsors invite people to sit at the table. Well, the concept with golf is pretty much the same thing, but instead of selling a table, you're selling a foursome. And you're not asking an individual golfer to buy a foursome. You're asking a company to be a sponsor, write a company check, or pay with a company credit card to be a sponsor. They will get visibility as a sponsor, but they also get a foursome to go along with that sponsorship. And you can charge more money that way. If you were to try and sell an individual entry for $250, there's a cost that the golf course is going to charge you for that golfer and also for the banquet. And so for the sake of discussion, you see on this chart that we're charging the golfer $250 and it's going to cost us $125. We're going to net $125 per golfer as an individual player. But if we sell a sponsorship with 4 golfers for $2,500, we can allocate $500 of that to the $125 per player for the 4 players. 4 times 125 is 500, and we've made $2,000 profit. Those same 4 golfers through a sponsorship have made us $2,000. Those 4 golfers through individual entry have made us $500. So we actually make a lot more money by filling the field with sponsorships rather than filling the field with individual players. So push the sponsorships. And there are a lot of sponsorships that you can have. There's a ton of opportunities for sponsors. As you look on this slide here, everything can be sponsored. It's amazing. You can sponsor each hole, or you can sponsor the whole tee, fairway, and green. That can all be one sponsorship, or it can be 4 different sponsorships. You can have hole number 1 can have a tee sponsor. It can have a fairway sponsor, and have a green sponsor, and it can have a presenting hole sponsor. You can have literally 3 or 4 sponsors on one hole if you wanted to, but you could just sell one if you want one. And here's another tip. This is one of these tips you might want to write down. You're going to give that sponsor for sure a foursome to play in the tournament, and you're going to give them a sign at the tee. But here's something nice. Give them also a sign in the fairway and give them a sign at the green. That way the sponsor gets more visibility and you can really thank that sponsor. They're going to want to come back again the following year because they're used to golf tournaments where the only time the golfers see their name is when they tee off and they don't see it anymore. Put a sign or two out on the fairway, put a sign or two on the green as well. And by the way, if you need more places to sell sponsorships, you can sell the tee to one and sell the green to somebody else if you'd like. The bag drop can also be sponsored. I mentioned dropping off the clubs as you arrive. That can be sponsored. The driving range can be sponsored. Clubhouse, cart. The carts, by the way, you can split that in half. You don't have to have one cart sponsored. You can have two cart sponsors because in every foursome, you're going to have two carts. You can put one sponsor's name on one cart and another sponsor's name on the other cart. And all four golfers will be looking at both carts all day long. Therefore, the cart sponsors get the same visibility whether they're on every cart or on half of the carts. Just make sure that each foursome has carts with two different sponsors in it. So you can double up there. Food and beverage can be sponsored, of course. The shirts can be sponsored. I mentioned before that hand the shirts out on the fairway rather than that can be a sponsored hole. If somebody says, you know what, I'll cover the cost of all of the shirts, then whatever hole they're on, you give them hole number 10, let's say. And so at hole number 10, your t-shirt sponsor sponsors that hole, and their sponsorship is basically covering the cost of the shirts, and they get the shirt with the logo on it, and they're going to have their volunteers or their employees out there handing out the shirts as the golfers come through. It gives the sponsor a chance to greet the golfers and say hello to them as well.
Hey, Jay, you had mentioned earlier about the notion of, essentially, keeping the golfers well fed throughout, right? You could have multiple sponsors for different stands, right? You're talking about those things like the taco stand, the other elements, and then have your major food sponsor separate and just work that all out, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'd mentioned putting the coolers out there, and on the coolers I'd mentioned putting drinks into the coolers. Well, there could be a great big sign that says this cooler sponsored by ABC Corporation, something like that. Have a beer on us, or have a drink on us, or whatever they want to put on their messaging. So again, you have an unlimited number of sponsor opportunities. I'm only showing that these are typical, but again, you can have 4 food and beverage sponsors. You could have 6 food and beverage sponsors. Kind of depends on.
Yeah.
I went to one celebrity event, the Hilton Head celebrity event that I worked many years, and I'm not joking, about every 3 holes was a bratwurst and beer station. Every 3 holes, and it was a different sponsor each time. So if you could play your round and eat 4 bratwursts, more power to you. But that's how that was done. The point is that you don't lack for sponsorships. You see them on here. I don't need to go through each and every one of them.
Yeah.
But each one of those sponsors represents potentially a foursome, and each one gives you potentially more money to make than selling the foursomes one golfer at a time. It's always easier to sell a sponsorship if you're going to tell that sponsor that they're going to get a lot of visibility from people that play golf. People that play golf typically have a little bit of extra money, and so it's good for sponsors to have the eyeballs of those people, so to speak. So here's how you make money with free golfers. Remember, the sponsors are covering the cost of the golfers by buying the sponsorship. So now you have that foursome, and no one in that foursome, if they're in a sponsored foursome, has paid any money. So this is an opportunity where you make money. Well, because they're there and they haven't paid an entry fee, and because you were very diligent about swiping their card when they showed up, which they were willing to do because after all, they're getting to play for free, they're looking forward to some way to give back. You then give them ways to give back. You give them ways that can be engaged. So this can be through selling mulligans, or more preferably selling super tickets. Super tickets would be the way to go. So what is a super ticket? Well, a super ticket is an all-in kind of a pass for everything they're going to do during the day. They want to try and win the car on hole number 3. They want to try and win the motorcycle on hole number 9, on 8. They want to win, the vacation on hole number 13. Well, they need to buy a super ticket to have a chance to do that. They want to get in the putting contest. Well, they need to pay an entry into that. they want a chance to, for a long drive or accuracy drive is the better one, but long drive or accuracy drive, then they need to pay to get into that. What about close to the pin? Pay for that. So there'll be a raffle. If they want to win something in a raffle, you want to give them raffle tickets. So everything that you want to sell them that day, mulligans and everything else, can all be bundled into one purchase called a super ticket. And because you've already swiped their card at station number 1 through 5 when they checked in, when they get to station number 6 is the check-in, is where we sell super tickets. Remember, go to the first available station 1 to 5 to check in, move down the table to station number 6, which is where the super tickets are being sold. And they're there. So what do I do here? This is where you buy your super tickets. How much are they? They're $100. What do I get for it? Well, you get $150 worth of value, but we're giving it to you for $100. Your credit card has already been swiped previously, like 2 minutes ago. So let us just have the number they handed you, your golfer number. Well, I was given number 105. So the super ticket station people just write down golfer number 105, and that'll end up on their account, and they'll be charged $100. And in that super ticket will be their mulligan tickets, their drink tickets, their maybe a golf ball entry in all their contests, chance to win a drawing for 5,000, whatever it might be. It's all in that super ticket. This nearly every free golfer. Remember, all the golfers that are for free are the ones that were sponsored. Every free golfer will say, "Sure, I'm playing this beautiful course. I didn't have to pay anything to get here. I didn't pay the $250 here for free. I'll give you $100. Happy to do it." So you'll pretty much sell out to every golfer.
Yeah. And by the way, your super ticket itself can be a sponsorship opportunity, or at least part of a sponsorship. You're going to have that visibility right there. So imagine your logo there, if you're a sponsor. That's great.
Yeah, and one of the comments in the chat was that they call them bundles, super bundles. And that's fine. I call them super tickets. You can call them whatever you want. You can call them playing bundles. It's your choice. And again, the comment was made, well, our tournament is against mulligans. Totally fine. By the way, I'm not a big fan of mulligans either. But if you're going to have mulligans, if you're going to allow mulligans, two rules. Number one, charge plenty for them. In other words, don't let somebody have a free stroke for $2. If you're going to charge, if you allow mulligans, make it $10 for a mulligan, and don't sell more than 2 per player maximum. In fact, better to sell only 2 per foursome. But you want to maximize number of mulligans. You don't want anyone to be able to buy an unlimited amount of mulligans. And here's why. You say, well, we make more money if someone wants to buy 100 mulligans, let them buy 100 mulligans. Well, the problem is that person is going to use all those mulligans, and everybody behind them is going to be backed up, and your course will be backed up, and you'll have a very, very, very slow play. And because you tried to make a little extra money by selling more mulligans, you really messed up your entire tournament. So limit the number of mulligans to 2 per golfer max, 2 per team better, and charge significantly for them so you at least make it worth their while. Okay. All right.
You want to take on the next question, as long as we're on sponsorships as we segue? If this is your first, how would you approach getting a sponsor? Any tips on soliciting and winning a sponsor for such an event? Is this someone who's new to the golf fundraisers?
No, I mean, no, it is a great question. There are people in your circle of friends and extended family and the committee's friends and extended family and their employers and so forth that would like to have visibility among the people that we'll call the demographic that play in golf tournaments. And it maybe real estate companies are great for that. Banks are great for that. Insurance companies are great for that. Local restaurants and local service businesses are great for that because they want to get their name out in front of that demographic. And more importantly, when they become a sponsor, you give them a place at the tournament. This isn't just about them giving you money a week or two or a month or two before your event. It's about giving them a place at the tournament where they can meet and greet. Let them, if they sponsor a hole, set up a pop-up out on the hole, give them an 8-foot table and a couple of chairs. Let them send a couple of volunteers from their office out there to greet the golfers, hand out business cards, hand out tchotchkes that can go in that tea bag. Maybe they want to give them, they want to give them a magnet for their refrigerator. They want to give them a keychain, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
sleeve of golf balls with their logo on it. So there's the sponsors will be glad to support you because they're going to get visibility in return.
Well, there's so much value. I mean, the other thing is that they're bringing their foursomes, right? They're bringing the people who are playing with them. These are their clients. These are their VIPs. This is a way for them to really bring them in and really have a great day and, let them know what's important to them. So that's great. We have one more question on this, Jay, and then I'm going to move us ahead.
Yep.
So you talked about super tickets, mulligans, et cetera. So the question is, should you try to sell these extras in advance? And speaking about in advance of the tournament, to lessen, to the fundraiser, to lessen the transactions happening at registration and on-site. What are your thoughts on that?
Terrific question. If your website allows you to not only RSVP someone to come play golf or to buy a sponsorship, it should also hopefully allow you to buy merchandise. I know the website that we can provide, what we call our Maestro Auction online website, which it can be used to register for golf tournaments, has the ability to register the sponsor and the players that are playing with that sponsor, or just individual entries, and also to buy a super ticket in advance. All of that can be done through the website. Great idea. Then when people show up, they're not only handed their empty bag, they're also handed in the empty bag their super ticket bundle. In that
Great.
bag. Yeah.
Okay, so next must, auctions.
You know what? You've got these people in your banquet. They're there waiting for their prizes. They've gone ahead and they've gotten their buffet meal or they've got their served meal. There's really no reason not to sell a half a dozen items live auction. And that the reason for that is that becomes the life support system for doing a raise the paddle. It allows us to sell 4, 5, 6 items, and they don't have to be big ticket items. They could be simple items. They could be a round of golf back at the same course for 4, golf for 4 back at the same course. The course will likely donate that because they want to get people back at their course. It could be a driver or a putter. It could be a golf bag. It could be, a couple dozen golf balls and maybe some golf lessons, things like that from the pro, but simple things. But it sets up the raise the paddle. And the raise the paddle after your 4, 5, 6 live auction items is where someone from your organization comes up and talks about your mission, and or maybe an alumnus of your organization that can come back and talk about what a success story it was to come through your organization, whether it's a scholarship program or Boys and Girls Club or whatever it might be. And then we ask the audience to just raise their bid number and make a straight cash contribution. We call it raise the paddle or fund a need, fund a mission, emotional appeal, stand up for kids. There's a lot of different names, but it's a chance to just give a straight cash contribution. We do this at galas all the time. There's no reason not to do it at your golf tournament. And you're going to find these golfers that have played all day for free, that were greeted professionally, no hassles, had a great time on the course, got a good meal. Now you're asking them to, as a thank you, to put their card up for $250 or $500 or $100. They're going to very willingly do it. And because their card is already on file, remember you got their card from them at 10 o'clock in the morning, you can even say to them, and by the way, because you gave us your card this morning at 10 o'clock at check-in, you don't even have to worry about cashiering. If this is the only thing you're going to buy tonight, we already have your card on file. Please be generous. Put your bid number up in the air. So that's why the auction is a must. You do the raise the paddle, and of course we'll include silent auction, perhaps raffles, all those sorts of things. And this is also a chance for the spouses to get involved. The spouses now can be involved in that silent auction and the raise the paddle. And should you, and this is an important thing, should you decide to include in your auction a getaway, maybe you've got a trip to Mexico or you've got a golf outing, to St. Andrews or some trip where it's going to include golf. It's a lot easier for a golfer to bid on that item if their spouse is there present with them than if their spouse is waiting for them at home. And now they're thinking, gosh, should I really spend this $2,000, $3,000 or $4,000 on this trip without discussing it with my spouse first? Come on, look, honey, I bought us a trip. Why didn't we talk about it first? So if their spouse is in the room because you invited them, much easier decision, and you'll make more money.
So this is great stuff. And I think one of the things you hit on, I just wanted to call out, you'd spoken earlier about selling your mission all day long. So, one of the tenets is that you want to sell the mission. You also want to have an immediate opportunity at the scene of this, of really being able to share that impact, to give people a chance to give. And this is a way to do that. We had someone also mention, and I just want to bring this out, Craig Cohen had mentioned in response to finding sponsors. I think you should stress your event is to benefit a charity or a good cause, not the person asking a company to sponsor. So, sponsors may eventually decline the opportunity, so don't take it personally, but really celebrate your successes. But absolutely agree with that. You want to be talking about what the reason is, what the why is, right? Anything to add to that, Jay?
No, absolutely, 100%. And also what I meant by sell the mission all day is make sure that your signage is such that you're selling it all day. Certainly they're going to have signage at the clubhouse, but you should try and make sure your mission statement, your 1 or 2 line mission statement is present wherever you go. I remember one golf tournament was a Boys and Girls Club tournament I did many years ago, and they actually put signs along the cart paths throughout the 18 holes. And I don't know if you remember, if you're from the Midwest or if you're from the East and Midwest, you remember the fence posts, driving through farmland that had, we called Burma shave signs, on them, where it would be like a little, 3 or 4 or 5 line limerick. And at the end, it would say Burma shave, something like that, where you could put signage along the cart paths that say, no child left behind, all your bids, keep our kids safe. Don't forget, it's all about the children. But put that signage throughout wherever they are going. They see your mission statement, or you can break it into little pieces. So there you go. So the best auction items that you can put at your tournament, would be things such as unique experiences. I call them bragging rights. A chance to go play golf with a celebrity would be a great, unique experience, a one of a kind. It could be with the golf pro from that club. It could be with a well-known golfer who might live in the area. It could be just a local sports team celebrity, from your football team, baseball team, or something like that, basketball team. A lot of the celebrity athletes are golfers as well. But something like that, or have a dinner experience with a well-known chef. That's a unique experience. Something where people, I would call it the water cooler talk. In the old days, if you did something great over the weekend, you discuss it around the water cooler at the office on Monday. Well, now we have virtual water coolers, don't we? The water cooler now is what? Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. So you want something that people are going to do this. They're going to buy it at your tournament. They're going to go experience it. They're going to take pictures. They're going to post it on Facebook. That's what you're looking for. Limited edition items will always sell. Memorabilia will always sell well. You want things with emotional impact. Anything for children has emotional impact. People will never skimp on spending money if it's for a child, a grandchild, or a niece or nephew. Gifts that keep on giving are great. What do I mean by that? Well, it's that you buy it once, you get to use it forever. A good example: have your name or someone of your choosing used as a character in an upcoming novel from a famous novelist. I've sold that for 3 decades now. That's a great item. You find a well-known novelist. If you know one, great. If you don't, then it's not going to work for you. But if you happen to have someone who writes a lot of books in your area, say, hey, would it be okay if one of the characters in your next book was someone that we named at the golf tournament? And so this is what we call instant immortality. That can be yourself becomes a character, or maybe you give it to a child or grandchild. Also, having a street named after you. I've done that many times over the years. It's not as difficult as you might think. It's just knowing a developer that's putting in a brand new development. They have to name all of the streets anyway. Ask them if one of the streets can be named. Practical items people are going to need, trendy items, local trips, cabins, always popular. But here's the bottom line: items you would buy, because you as a committee are a subset of what your golfers are going to be. So your committee ought to think about, what would we buy? What would we go out? Well, I'd buy this. Well, I'd buy that too. Well, I'd buy that as well. That's probably a good item. And so on. We'll try and get that if you can. The 18-hole auction. This is a way to save time. The golfers have been out there since 10 o'clock in the morning. They play their 5-hour round. Now they're into the banquet area. You don't want to bore them with an hour-long silent auction with paper bid sheets and all that kind of stuff. Instead, what we do is do the silent auction by cell phone. Pretty much everybody watching this webinar right now, if I was to ask you to hold up your cell phone, you would be holding up your cell phone, because it's always within 4 feet of you. And the golfers are the same way. When they go out on the golf course, they have that cell phone with them in the golf cart. And what are they doing between holes? They're checking their messages. So if we use a mobile bidding process, we have one, by the way, it's called text to bid. If we use the mobile bidding process to have our silent auction during the round, then during that 5-hour round, the golfers are bidding. They actually will preview the items when they check in the morning, when they check in and find out what hole they're starting on. All the items will be on display, and they can preview the items. They can register their phone at that time. They can bid, and then throughout the day, if they're outbid, they'll be given a text saying they've been outbid, and then you close that perhaps 15 to 30 minutes after the close of the round. During the cocktail time leading up to dinner, they're not having to stand around and bid anymore on bid sheets. They're bidding all day on their phone. So a great way to get the auction items is to ask your sponsors to give you the auction items. And then based on how much the auction items sell for, have an award at your banquet for the sponsor whose item has sold for the most money. This is a great way to let the sponsors get involved in your procurement of auction items. Instead of the committee having to go out and get all the items, you got 18 hole sponsors, and you got your clubhouse sponsor, your driving range sponsor, your bag drop sponsor, your cart sponsors. They all can get you an auction item, and tell them that you're going to have an award, a great big trophy or crystal or something for the sponsor whose item sells for the most money during the day. And now you've covered your procurement. You've also covered your money for your silent auction, and you've all done it during the 18 holes. There you go. Bonus tip. This is up to you if you want to do it or not. If someone bids on an item on hole number 5, whatever item is associated with hole number 5, the teams that bid on an item on hole number 5 get to deduct 1 stroke on that hole.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that is an equalizer. That means that the people that maybe aren't your best golfers who would normally win your tournament, but the ones who are the most generous and the ones that bid on the most items are the ones that are going to get the most strokes deducted from their score. So a team that's not very generous and doesn't bid at all, they might come in with a 62, and a team that shoots a 72, but bid on 11 items on 11 different holes. They boosted your revenue in your silent auction by every bid step makes you money, but they get to deduct 11 strokes, and they shoot a 61 and they win. Up to you if you want to do that or not. You could put limits on it as well. You might put a maximum of 4 strokes, but think about that as a possible way. So there we go.
Okay. So sinking the pot with revenue boosters and avoiding those nasty sand traps and hazards.
Yes, indeed. So things to avoid. A very common thing to do is to have what we call a long drive contest. And the long drive contest is appealing to maybe 10% or 20% of your golfers because they can hit the ball far, hit the ball a long way. But most of your golfers don't hit the ball all that far. They're happy if they have a 220, 230 yard drive. Well, they don't get to play this. So instead, have your pro put a line. It could be painted, or powdered, or it can be just a rope down the middle of the fairway. And instead of it being a long drive contest, have it a accuracy drive contest. Now it's the ball that's closest to the line that wins the prize, not the ball that's the furthest. So that's one example. We also want to speed up play. So another way to speed up play is what we call cheat for charity. On a par 5, a given par 5 that's a particularly long par 5 and one that might take a lot of time to play, let the golfers opt in to paying a fee, $10 a foursome, $20 a foursome, whatever you're comfortable. And by the way, this can be part of the super ticket. Let them immediately go to the 150-yard marker on the par 5 and play from there. So they're literally hitting their first shot from 150 yards from the green, rather than 500 yards back from the regular tee. That'll speed up play. It'll also allow the golfers that can't hit the ball very far to have an equalizer with the really good golfers. Keeps your field closer together in terms of where your winners and non-winners are. The scores are tighter because you don't have this wide spread because of the par 5s. Helicopter crane or drone drop. These are kind of fun. Where basically it's a raffle. you're selling a golf ball with a number on it. Golfers are paying $25 for the golf ball to get in the drop. Again, it can be part of your super ticket or your bundle if you want. And all of those golf balls are put in a bucket, and they're hauled up in a crane, and they're dropped over a target, and the ball that lands close to the target wins a raffle prize. It can be a 50-50 raffle, something like that. So if you collect, if you collect $1,000, then they win $500. If you want to do a 50-50, it could be for a specific prize. That's entirely up to you. If it's done by drone, then basically the drone's not going to be able to carry the great big bucket to carry. So you have a way to have an elimination process first. There's a lot of ways to elimination processes. Talk to me, I can show you how to do that. But the 5 balls or 6 balls or 10 balls that are left that the drone's going to drop, go in that. And then another along the crane line, if you call in your local first responders, like your local fire department, they get to display their ladder truck, and then they can carry the bucket up the top of the ladder truck, and they can drop the golf balls out of the bucket, out of the top of the ladder truck. And of course, helicopters know the way to do it. Bucket raffles, Win Play Show bucket raffles. That's something that where people buy a lot of tickets and they drop a ticket into multiple buckets to win an auction item. I'm sorry, to win a raffle item. That can all be automated, by the way, on the text to bid system, the very same system that where we do the 18-hole auction where the bidding by cell phone. That can also automate your bucket raffles and your Win Place and Show raffles. Casino hole, this is basically closest to the pin kind of a thing, where you draw a circle on the green, and any ball that ends up within the circle throughout the day is in a putt off at the end of the tournament. So they come in at the end of the tournament, they go out to the putting green, and if there were 3 people, 4 people, 10 people throughout the day, whoever ended up within that circle, they all putt towards a hole, and they win a prize. Team fundraising basically is a way for foursomes to get involved based on combinations of scores, that sort of thing. And then of course the 18-hole auction we mentioned, which is with the silent auction bidding is tied to the scoring. I mentioned that as well.
So Jay, question for you as we kind of finish this up. Lots of stuff here, right? So the question naturally came up: should you worry about nickel and diming the guests with too many revenue boosters? What's the ideal number of choices to offer?
Yeah, I agree with you. Nickel and diming tends to be a problem if you are charging each time, but the super ticket tends to overcome that problem. If every time they turn around, hey, you want to get $10 and get on the casino hole? Hey, okay, yeah, $10 for our accuracy drive, sure, why not? $10 for the putting contest. What about that? If you're collecting cash all day long, then you are nickel and diming them, which is why I said at the beginning, try and do it cashless if you can. Then it's just a matter of them giving you their golfer number. The golfer number, by the way, is a bidder number. It's the same in a gala. It's a bidder number. In the golf tournament, it's called a golfer number. It's the same thing. They're just using the golfer number throughout the day. But the super ticket overcomes that objection because it's all bundled into one purchase. They do it one time and they're in everything. Basically, you're in everything, and that's the answer for that. Some of the traps and hazards and how to get out of them. Doesn't finish on time. Well, one way that they don't finish on time is not starting on time. Let's say that. Yeah. Finish on time, starts on time. Also eliminate the doodads on the course. So what do I mean by doodads? Well, one doodad on the course is the string thing I mentioned, where they got to say, oh, we're 2 feet away. Oh, we're 2.5 feet away. We only have 2 feet of string. Okay, all that slows down the process. Another doodad is golf club demonstrations. Having someone that says, oh, I got this brand new hot driver and I want to demonstrate it out on hole number 13 or something like that. So now everybody stops at hole number 13 while the pro is out there demonstrating the golf club. That slows it down. Another doodad that I've seen that'll slow things down are the air gun. On a given hole, the golfer gets to shoot their tee shot from an air gun, boom, that's great. It's like a big, it's like a big mortar and they shoot the golf ball. It's a lot of fun and all that, but again, it backs up the thing. Trying to hit a marshmallow, see how far you can hit a marshmallow with a golf club. These are all things that will back up your round. So eliminate the doodads if at all possible.
Yeah.
You have trouble filling the golf spots, I would refer you back to the sponsorship thing.
Yep.
If you're trying to sell individual spots at $250, that's a tough sell. If you're trying to sell a foursome at $1,500, where instead of $250 a spot, that's a little easier thing to do with a sponsor. Golfers rarely stay for the awards banquet. Yeah, I mentioned before, solved by inviting the spouses. They're not going to leave if their spouse is there. And give them a reason to stick around. For one thing you could do is you could say, we're going to have a drawing for a set of golf clubs, but you must be present to win. And so now the very last thing you do before you send it home at night is draw, and somebody wins the set of golf clubs. How do you win the set of golf clubs? You're still there. Okay, so you want to give them a nice prize to hang out for. Sponsors are hard to find. Networking. Scoring after the round takes too long. That's because you're using a complex scoring. Keep it really, really simple. Scramble is the best way to go. And I would also say that you should have what I call a bogey is your friend score, which basically means on any given hole, if the foursome is going to have greater than 1 over par, let them write down 1 over par and be done with it. Okay, you don't need to, on a par 5, write down an 8 or a 9 or a 10. Just let them write down a 6 and move on. So there we go. It's selling extras at registration. That's solved with the super ticket. This one gets full value from your celebrities. That's true. You won't. Celebrities don't spend money at your golf tournament. Celebrities typically cost you money. They typically don't make you money. If you're going to have celebrities, don't try and put a celebrity in every foursome unless you're going to charge a lot of money for that foursome. If you're going to have a celebrity in every foursome, and God love you if you can do 36 celebrities, then make sure you charge appropriately. You want to make sure you get a lot of money from every foursome because of that celebrity. If you only have a handful of celebrities, like 3, 4, or 5 celebrities, what I'd like to do then is right before the tee off, and we've got all the golfers together, we do an auction for the chance to pick which celebrity you want in your group. And now the foursomes, some of the foursomes, 5 of the foursomes, each get a fivesome rather than a foursome. Then one extra player is the celebrity, and you've made maybe $500 or $750 or $1,000 extra on each of those 5 foursomes because you sold the rights to have that celebrity play in your group rather than somebody else's group. And so revenue generator, that pretty much covered the.
Yeah, I think we covered most of these, Jay, but these are going to be on the slide. I do want to share something about celebrities, though. We had some folks asking about how you get a hold of celebrities, and then also just how do you go about even inviting a local PGA golfer? And if we have things to offer on that, we certainly will. We may come back to it, but I do want to share with you a couple of thoughts that are pretty important to know when you're thinking of celebrities. They come in all forms. Make sure that you think about the local radio celebrities, the local television celebrities, and having had a background in television. I can tell you want to reach out to their community affairs department. They have an obligation to be able to be participating in certain things, and if you make a good case for your cause, not only will and if you reach the people who love to golf, they're going to love to come out, but you want to make sure that you don't stop there. You want to encourage them as part of them coming on as a celebrity to make sure that their marketing teams are promoting your cause. So ways that you can do that is on a radio station or on a television station. You can share with them something like a text to bid or a text to fund opportunity. So even for those who are out there and they hear about this cause, you can say, be sure to text 71760 to give, whatever it is, your keyword, or to be able to get involved in other ways. So those are some things to think about as well. I thought I would throw in there, Jay.
And also I've had a lot of tournaments where, because they did ask local news stations, local television stations to come be a celebrity, they'll bring out a news crew, and they'll do a news spot of Joe, our weather guy, playing in the tournament today to benefit the local Big Brothers Big Sisters, and so that gives again more publicity for your cause on the TV station.
Absolutely. And if they run a Chiron or they have the little piece showing your ways to give while that's happening, which they'll typically do on your 10 or 11 or whatever market you're in, o'clock news, that's a great thing. I want to give you a little bit of a plug here. More bonus revenue boosters ahead. We know some of you may have had to jump right at 3, but we're going to run a little bit over, and it's going to be well worth your time for some additional things you'll see here. And we'll also have the Ask the Expert for anything we didn't capture. At this point, we're going to talk about that 19th hole. This is the real promised land here. Essential software and services to power your golf fundraiser and elevate your year-round digital fundraising, donor relationship management, and auctions as you go forward. And Jay, as we're moving to this, I'm going to have you share a little bit about some of the Meistersoft opportunities, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on, is it a one and done? You do a golf fundraiser and that's your event for the year, or how do you think about fundraising, throughout the year? Any thoughts on that?
Well, the golf tournament is what's used to appeal to supporters of the organization that like to play golf. So when you run a golf tournament, you get a lot of people that like your mission, and they happen to be golfers. You do a walkathon because you want to appeal to people that enjoy getting out and doing walks, or they like to exercise that way, and they also support your mission. You do galas because you appeal to the people that like to get dressed up and go out on a Friday or Saturday night and be entertained and have a nice meal. And so you do different types of events to appeal to a different demographic. And sometimes it's the same demographic, but sometimes a whole new demographic. So a reason to do a golf tournament is to expand your base, not just as a single purpose fundraiser.
That's great. So multiple ways to give, be doing things throughout the year, big and small, lots of ways to get involved. So talk to us about Meistersoft and the auction and text-based solutions.
And we're going to cover this really quickly. I just want to quickly answer Helen. Helen asked, what's an average cost to run a golf tournament? And honestly, I wish I had that answer for you, because it depends on primarily where you're hosting the golf tournament. Some high-end golf clubs might charge you $150 just for the privilege of playing golf there. Other courses might charge you $75. Then the meals can be all across the board. So the important thing is not think of it in terms of hard dollars, but in percentages. I think you want to try and come in 20 to 30% of your gross. If you think you can gross $50,000 on your golf tournament, then you want to then think about where can we host this, and what meal can we serve, and what are other expenses involved that will allow that $50,000 to drop to a cost of 20 to 30% of that. So keep it as a percentage rather than hard dollar, and you'll be okay. So the software is critical for any kind of fundraising, whether it's a gala, whether it's a walk, peer-to-peer fundraising, auction. It all requires software, because you want to have a professionally managed event, and we can assist them with that. Our Meister Auction online software, our Meister Auction software, and our text-to-bid all work together for a great golf outing experience. Website, of course, to sell the foursomes, to sell individual entries, and to sell sponsorships, that sort of thing. To organize the golfers will be playing, to sell the super tickets in advance if you'd like. That all pulls down into what we call our Meister Auction software, where we can produce all the collateral material relative to that tournament. And then text to bid, if you're going to be using the 18-hole auction approach, then the bidding by cell phone. All of those play together. We also handle the payment processing. We talked about swiping the card on the way in the door. That's something we do. We also can provide auctioneers if you need an auctioneer. I happen to be one. We have others on our team. We provide.
Well, and Jay, by the way, you know what? This answers the question. A lot of people say we wish you could be right there with us. This is a big point of differentiation between what we do and lots of other great, organizations out there. So I do want to just move to this slide.
Well, the biggest advantage of using us for consulting and event management and auctioneering is that all the people that fall in this category understand our software. So if you have one of our auctioneers at your event, you basically have ride-along tech support with you. You don't have to be buying tech support from a software company because you're just nervous about whether you're going to be doing it right or not. You would actually have your consultant and your auctioneer at your event to help guide you through the software. So that's not required. It's not required, but it's a nice option if you have that option.
Great.
And everything we do is mobile optimized. So whether you're doing a virtual auction or whether you're doing an online auction, a golf tournament, 18-hole auction, whatever it might be, just a virtual raise the paddle with text to fund, whatever it might be, it's all mobile optimized.
Great. And I'm going to just go ahead and move here. Meistersoft is an Ariba company, and everything we do is holistic. It's all in one. It's making sure not only to make it easy for you to use, but also so that you bring things into a unified database. So you get those insights. So if you do a golf fundraiser and you expand your base, you have the opportunity to be able to bring all of that information in and then be able to activate that for other campaigns throughout the year and for everything that you're doing and to, to tie that together. So Exceed Further is really the only all-in-one cloud-based digital fundraising, donor relationship management, healthcare hospitality applications, auction software. It brings together just about everything you need to do with a really unique approach of bringing together relationships, households, allowing for lots of online fundraising opportunities, unlimited donation pages, event pages, peer-to-peer fundraising, team fundraising, which Jay mentioned, which is a part of what we do, as well as SMS text messaging, campaign management, lots of things you can see here. I'm not going to read through all of this. And then, what we do is we really are bringing this together with, you can really begin where you're at and bring it all together and then grow from there. But there's best practices that are revenue boosters, that Jay talked about within the Microsoft software in terms of covering processing fees. That's similar across Exceed Further, being able to give lots of ways to give, be able to really capitalize on recurring giving and really robust reporting. Everything again has just got to be on your phone. It goes without saying now, post-pandemic, even more than ever, everyone is on their phone. And even those where sometimes you'll say, well, we don't know how much we want to use technology. Our donors or our supporters are older. Maybe they're not using their phones as much. If they weren't, they are now. They had to be able to engage with their grandparents, with their loved ones during these times. So that's a real catalyst that came out of what we were doing. Again, we have the demo and consultation opportunity up there for you. I just want to give you a word on this, and Jay, if you'll interject. This is truly, we're with you for good. We are here to help you be able to achieve what you want to. It could be a 5-minute session. It could be, hey, we got this far, we don't know what to do. We've got this figured out. We need help to be able to accomplish that. It could be an hour, it could be more. These run the gamut, don't they, Jay?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes people just have one or two quick questions. They can call me. I'll make myself available to them to answer that. Sometimes they want a full-blown consulting session. We can talk about that. Sometimes they want to ride along on their team through event day. We can we charge for that because obviously that's a lot of time. The quick questions we don't charge for. The short consulting sessions we don't charge for. We want you to be a successful client. It's important to us that you make money because it's our reputation. So we want to get into some bonus revenue enhancers now. We promised you this, and then I think we're going to wrap it up. We want to try and get this done in an hour and 15 minutes. I think we're about 5 minutes away from 12:15 Pacific time, 3:15 Eastern. And so we just want to wrap it up with a couple of bonus employer match. This is a kind of a hidden booster that a lot of people don't know about. When you RSVP someone to come to an event, your RSVP form, whatever format it takes, whether it's online using our software, whether it's a hard card that you send out by mail, it should have a checkbox that says my employer will match my cash contributions or will match my donations, and then have a line where they can put in their employer's name, because many of the larger companies will match. If you make a $250 donation, you can post-event, you can get that match. And that'll only happen if you gather who has employer matching before your event. If you try and ask after the event, you're old news by then, they're not going to respond to you. But if you ask them in the process of RSVPing, they will absolutely tell you who they work for. And yes, they have a match program. Peer-to-peer fundraising and team fundraising. I mean, this, it's a classic one-to-many approach. What was the old thing, how many degrees to Kevin Bacon or something like that? Everybody knows somebody who knows somebody, and after 6 steps, you know Kevin Bacon. Peer-to-peer is that's what it's all about. It's setting up your own web page that you can put out in your own social media, saying, I am trying to support my school, the scholarships. Would you help me out? Would you please consider making a donation? And you send that out on your social media. You send it out to your friends and family. You ask them to also share it on their social media and on their friends and family. You can also organize those peer-to-peer campaigns through teams. So you could have a team leader. The team leader can do a video appeal on our site if you'd like, and you say, hey guys, help me out. My team is trying to raise money. And again, it's the peer-to-peer roundup option. Roundup option is something we put into our software, which is very, very simple. When someone checks into your event, you just say, hey, if you're lucky enough to win something tonight, may we round you up to the nearest $100. Nearly everybody says yes. And so if their bill is $327, it becomes $400. And that additional money is just because they agreed to the roundup. And that's just, you ought to do that. Cover the processing fees built into the software. You want to do that as well. This is a box they check to saying, I'm willing to cover my credit card fees. That'll save you your credit card processing. And
typically,
so
you'll have anywhere from 85 to 90% of folks will leave that box checked or will check that box. They'll say, why, of course. Same thing with the roundup option. I mean, this is great. This is right within the system. Right. And, you know, this really allows you to be able to do that. You do that at your local CVS or other drugstore. You know, they're doing that all the time. It's easy to do. This is a way to capitalize on that. And I would imagine the bulk of people will do that.
And you'll find when I've seen this done effectively before, in pretty much every case, if you cover the processing fees and the roundup are built into the software, it more than covers the cost of the software and all of the services around using the software. It could be literally thousands of dollars at a large event.
Jay, I think we're gonna roll right through the questions because we've been asking them throughout here at this point, and I'm just gonna go ahead and move this over to first I'm going to say thank you, Jay. This is great stuff. If I had time, I would read all of the comments. I'll read them to you later, but people were so enthused about what's shared here, particularly the person who had the opportunity, let's call it, to be in charge of their first golf fundraiser. They feel well equipped. So thank you, job well done. And I want to thank everyone who joined us and took your time out and stayed with us till the end. We'll be sending this out afterwards with the slides and also with a recording of the presentation. So I'm going to let you wrap it up, Jay, with your final words and any thank yous or closing thoughts that you have.
I'm just going to thank you all for your time today. It's an hour and 15 minutes you invested in us. We appreciate that. I want you to know that if you call on us to assist you, we'll invest in you as well and make sure that you are successful. Don't be afraid of your golf tournament. Don't be afraid of your gala. We have a lot of expertise in our company. We're more than happy to share it. Let us be your go-to company and we'll take good care of you, we promise.
So with that, as we close, I'm going to leave the questions box open for just a moment. If you do still want to have a consultation or demo didn't get to answer, just drop a note, say, hey, I'd love to talk with you, and we'll make sure to reach back out to you afterwards. So just drop a note in there, and then from there, just go ahead and it'll take it probably be sometime late today or tomorrow morning when you receive the recording, but that'll be coming out to you, and just make sure that you look for that in your email. If you have any questions, just reach out to us directly. Thank you again. Have a wonderful afternoon and a terrific weekend, and stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.